The White House is a symbol of America. Behind its famous facade, important decisions are made every day. But some of the most crucial conversations happen away from the cameras. In the quiet hallways and private offices, whispers fill the air. These aren't just any whispers, they are conversations that can change the world. World leaders negotiate treaties in hushed tones, advisors debate policy in secret meetings. The fate of nations hangs in the balance. From the Oval Office to the Situation Room, the walls have ears, and what they hear can change the world. Every president understands the power of a private conversation. Away from the microphones and cameras, they can speak freely. They can debate, disagree, and ultimately decide the nation's future. These conversations are the lifeblood of the presidency. They allow for frank discussions and honest advice. In the Oval Office, a whisper can be more powerful than a shout. It signifies trust, intimacy, and the weight of decision-making. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, President Kennedy and his advisors met in secret. Their hushed deliberations ultimately averted disaster. In the world of politics, a whisper can be a powerful tool. Imagine the Oval Office. Sunlight streams through the bulletproof windows. The president sits at the resolute desk, a phone pressed to his ear. Across from him, a small group of advisors huddles. They speak in low tones, their faces etched with concern. This is the art of the huddle, a time-honored tradition in the White House. When facing a crisis, a president needs candid advice. He needs to hear different perspectives, to weigh the risks and benefits of every option. The huddle allows for a level of candor and intimacy impossible in a formal setting. Here, advisors can speak freely, challenging assumptions and offering dissenting opinions. It's a high-stakes game of intellectual sparring, where the only goal is to find the best course of action. The work of governing is often compared to making sausage. The final product might be appealing, but the process can be messy. This is especially true when it comes to policymaking. Before a bill is signed into law or an executive order is issued, it undergoes countless revisions and debates, many of which happen behind closed doors. These private conversations are where the real work of shaping policy takes place. Advisors hash out details, explore different options, and try to anticipate potential pitfalls. They weigh competing interests, consider the political ramifications, and strive to find solutions that are both effective and palatable to various stakeholders. The importance of these behind-the-scenes conversations cannot be overstated. The president relies on a small circle of trusted advisors. These men and women are privy to sensitive information, privy to the president's doubts and vulnerabilities. They are the keepers of secrets, the ones who hear the whispers that shape the nation's destiny. But with great trust comes great responsibility. The president must be able to rely on his advisors to provide honest counsel, even when it's difficult to hear. He needs to know that their loyalty is to the country first and foremost, and that they will always put the national interest ahead of personal gain or political expediency. The most sensitive conversations, the ones that truly shape the course of history, are often kept within a very tight circle. In October 1962, the world teetered on the edge of nuclear war. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a moment of high tension and dramatic stakes. President John F. Kennedy and his advisors gathered in the White House, whispering strategies and weighing options. The quiet conversations in the Oval Office and the Cabinet Room were crucial to navigating this perilous situation. These meetings were held in strict secrecy. The advisors spoke in hushed tones, aware that any leak could provoke a catastrophic response from the Soviet Union. The stakes were incredibly high and the pressure immense. The decisions made in these secret meetings would determine the fate of millions. Kennedy's team, known as the XCOM, debated two main options: a naval blockade of Cuba or a direct military strike. The blockade was chosen as the less aggressive yet firm response. This decision, made in the quiet corridors of power, helped to avoid a nuclear confrontation. The Watergate scandal is one of the most infamous episodes in American political history. It began with a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in 1972 and ended with President Richard Nixon's resignation in 1974. The secret conversations and cover-ups that took place within the White House during this period were pivotal. Nixon and his closest aides held many private meetings to discuss how to handle the unfolding scandal. These conversations were meant to stay hidden, but tapes of these meetings were later revealed, exposing the extent of the deceit. The tapes showed Nixon's involvement in the cover-up and his attempts to obstruct justice. The whispers of Watergate were not about crafting policy or debating strategy. Instead, they were about protecting power and avoiding accountability. These secret conversations ultimately led to Nixon's downfall. Section 3. Reagan's Cold War Maneuvers, Quiet Conversations for Peace. President Ronald Reagan's tenure was marked by the Cold War's final critical phase. His administration engaged in numerous secret conversations to navigate this complex and dangerous period. These dialogues were essential in reducing tensions with the Soviet Union and ultimately ending the Cold War. Reagan and his advisors frequently met in private to discuss their approach to the Soviet Union. These conversations included strategies for arms reduction and ways to build trust with Soviet leaders. A pivotal moment came during the Reykjavik summit in 1986, where Reagan met with Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. The groundwork for this meeting was laid in countless secret conversations. Though the summit ended without an agreement, it set the stage for future arms reduction treaties. Reagan's whispered conversations show how private dialogues can play a crucial role in shaping international relations. Section 4. The Iran-Contra Affair, Secrets and Consequences. The Iran-Contra affair was a significant scandal during Reagan's presidency. It involved secret arms sales to Iran and the illegal funding of Contra rebels in Nicaragua. These activities were conducted without the knowledge of Congress, leading to a major political fallout when they were revealed. In the White House, secret conversations were the norm as officials plotted this complex scheme. Advisors whispered plans to bypass congressional restrictions and fund the Contras. When the affair came to light, it caused a massive scandal. Investigations revealed the extent of the secret dealings and the depth of the deception. The Iran-Contra affair serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of secret conversations. Section 1. The Digital Age of Whispers. The nature of presidential whispers has evolved dramatically in the 21st century. While face-to-face meetings in the Oval Office and hushed phone calls remain crucial, the digital age has introduced new layers of complexity and vulnerability to these confidential conversations. Today, presidents and their advisors communicate through secure emails, encrypted messaging apps, and video conferencing. These technologies offer convenience and speed, but also present new challenges in maintaining secrecy. The threat of cyber attacks and data breaches looms large, making it more difficult than ever to keep sensitive information under wraps. The rise of social media has also added a new dimension to presidential whispers. Section 2. The Global Stage, Whispers Across Borders. The White House is not just the center of American power, it's a global hub where international diplomacy unfolds. Presidential whispers extend beyond domestic policy, encompassing conversations with world leaders, negotiations over treaties, and strategies for addressing global challenges. In our interconnected world, a private conversation between the American president and a foreign leader can have far-reaching consequences. These discussions often involve sensitive intelligence sharing, delicate negotiations on trade or security, and efforts to build alliances or diffuse international crises. The stakes are high, and the need for discretion is paramount. A misconstrued word or a leaked conversation can have a ripple effect, damaging relationships, undermining negotiations, or even escalating tensions between nations. Section 3. The Weight of Whispers, Shaping a Nation's Destiny. From the Oval Office to the Situation Room, the corridors of the White House echo with whispers that carry the weight of history. These private conversations, often hidden from public view, shape the nation's destiny, influencing everything from economic policy to military strategy. The decisions made in these hushed exchanges impact the lives of millions, shaping the course of war and peace, prosperity and hardship. They determine the allocation of resources, the enactment of laws, and the projection of American power on the world stage. The weight of these whispers rests heavily on the shoulders of presidents and their advisors. They understand that their words have consequences, that their decisions can have a lasting impact on the nation and the world. The White House, a beacon of democracy, might seem an unlikely place for secrecy. Yet within the Oval Office and the Situation Room, some of the most consequential conversations in history have unfolded. These whispered exchanges are woven into the very fabric of American governance. From the Cuban Missile Crisis to the Cold War's end, discreet dialogue has shaped the fate of the nation. Behind closed doors, presidents grapple with complex challenges and forge strategies. Despite technological changes, the need for privacy and trust remains unchanged. The hushed nature of presidential whispers often sparks debate about the balance between transparency and secrecy in a democracy. Critics argue that these behind-the-scenes conversations erode public trust and create a dangerous veil of secrecy around the highest levels of power. They contend that citizens have a right to know how decisions are made and who is influencing their elected leaders. Transparency, undoubtedly, is a cornerstone of a healthy democracy. However, an excess of transparency can be detrimental, hindering the very processes it seeks to illuminate. When every conversation is subject to public scrutiny, it can stifle open dialogue, discourage dissenting opinions, and make it difficult for leaders to negotiate effectively, especially on the international stage. The challenge lies in finding the right balance, in discerning which conversations necessitate secrecy to protect national security or advance diplomatic efforts, and which should be open to public scrutiny. This balancing act is a constant tension in any democracy, requiring vigilance from both citizens and their leaders. The whispers from the White House are not just about secrecy, they embody the essence of leadership. They represent the unseen hand guiding the nation, shaping the course of history. Vision is translated into action, strategy is formulated, and the burden of leadership is felt. These whispers carry the hopes and fears of a nation and often the fate of the world. They highlight the power of human connection, trust, and collaboration in navigating challenges. The whispers of presidents and advisors shape our world. As we've journeyed through the history of presidential whispers, we've encountered moments of both triumph and tribulation. These conversations have averted disaster, forged peace, and advanced the nation's interests. But secrecy, when abused, can lead to scandal and erode public trust. Leadership is defined not just by public pronouncements, but by quiet conversations behind closed doors. Whispers within the White House will continue to shape the destiny of the nation and the world. The fate of nations is often determined in the hushed whispers of those entrusted with leadership.